Let's continue. Let's watch.
Speech is surprisingly dangerous. Consider the
fucking thing in our defense, like, actually, Hila's not a baby killer. Actually, accusing Ethan of killing his dog is maybe too far, because they have mobilized such an insane harassment group that anybody who says any fucking thing, they will attempt to ruin their lives. And once again, I'm the crazy one. It's not bad enough that I have this group of people.
What we do here is go back.
It's so interesting that, like, this is probably nostalgic for so many people in this audience who probably were major iDubbbz fans and possibly even Ben Shapiro fans at that time, and now have become fans of mine. But I never really watched any Content Cops. Like, I kind of knew about it because everybody knew about it, and I'm sorry for pausing it immediately, but, like, for me, I don't even get the fucking nostalgia aspect that you guys have. So it's just like such a strange phenomena. I was in high school. I'm a teacher now. That's crazy. What's up, everybody? I'm Hasan Piker, and this is the Hasan broadcast coming to you live from a cloudy day here in California, Los Angeles. We're live and alive, and I hope all the boys, girls, and MBs are having a fantastic one because today's a beautiful day. I have a very important announcement. I've finally done it. I watched Ethan Klein's Content Nuke, and I'm not going to call it Context Puke as I normally do because the reality of the matter is it was brilliant. Nothing was out of context. Everything was correct. I am an Islamist, fundamentalist, radical terrorist. I am a vicious anti-Semite. It's true. Most importantly, Ethan is more attractive than me, both physically and also mentally. I've been lying about everything, including my glasses. They're fake. He was right about that. That's not even in the Content Nuke. And he was right about that too. How did he know everything? How? Wake up, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Ethan, wake up.
Wakey, wakey, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Wake up. Time to be awake, Ethan.
Wake up, Ethan.
This is no longer a dream. This is a nightmare. Wake up.
Ethan, the dumb bitch is telling you to wake up.
Wake up.
Ethan, wake up.
Wake up, Ethan.
Ethan, wake up.
Wake up.
Zooms, anyone?
Just wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up. Wake up, Ethan.
I'm not gonna do a react content yet, chat.
I'm the same. Nobody's telling you to wake up, Ethan.
Ooh, yummy. I love Sabra hummus.
Wake up, Ethan. Wake up.
Ethan.
Wake up, Ethan.
Wake up.
That was not nice. Wake up, Ethan. Just wake up.
All right.
I did not know he did that to my
I didn't plan on
microphone.
making a content cop on H3. It sounds very stupid even saying that. H3, content cop, iDubbbz's. Ethan Klein's out of control. And then you should do a content cop on Hasan Piker. Content cop on Sargon of Akkad. If I would imagine this in 2016, I would have been like, oh yeah, if I ever do that, it's gotta be because I lose the plot. Well, it turns out it's not me losing the plot, it's Ethan. He's the one who fucking attacked first.
My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up.
So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
All right, guys, I'm going to tell you a story about Ethan Klein. I know some of you have been following him, but there's a lot of people who might not be familiar with the background, with his podcast, with what's been going on over the past couple of years. So Ethan, as you know, is a content creator who has a podcast where he says all sorts of outrageous stuff. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's fucked up. He's had shows with all sorts of different controversial characters. He's had a show with Trisha Paytas. He's had a show with Hasan Piker. In doing so, he's gathered a ton of different audiences. Now in his podcast,
He's crashing out
Maybe.
live.
I just expected
Also, I'm
better.
sure this is all going to get clipped, and I love that I'm looking like this for all this.
At least I don't have black hair.
I am not going to watch this. All right, we're
with
watching the
Hasan
content
leftovers, they would mostly talk
Well, I
about
just
surface
thought it's
level
whatever,
progressive shit and make fun of right-wingers.
And you're telling me he didn't flick their dick once at least?
Oh, that's 100 shavers. You trans women. I say, oh no!
And it was mostly that until they actually had to reckon with a very serious topic. I would say that Hasan was very well equipped to talk about that topic.
Palestinian people living in the West Bank are subject to these horrific conditions, horrific living conditions by the state of Israel, America's greatest ally and the only democracy in the Middle East, if you ask Republicans and even liberals.
Well, that dance he invented was so kick-ass.
Israeli settlers are trying to evict Palestinian families in occupied East Jerusalem. The United Nations says that may be a war crime. It literally is.
I was just eating the toppings, and the pizza looked like a burn victim. It was all disgusting.
I don't know if you can make that joke in 2021.
Why?
It's insensitive to burn victims.
I think it's a good analogy. It's a powerful image.
Ethan was not prepared for this. Ethan, the whole time, is more of the goof guy. And that's fine, you know, we don't expect Ethan to be an expert on the topic. Ethan was obviously caught in this tricky situation where he is extremely sympathetic to the Israeli cause and what's happening to them. His wife's Israeli, she served in the IDF. He obviously likes the state of Israel. On the other hand, he's just got done capturing a massive progressive audience who are very politically savvy. They follow Hasan. Hasan is strictly a political streamer, so this is something they're very keyed into. So when they see Ethan say things that are just like not accurate and it's just propaganda, they're gonna call it out.
From the river to the sea essentially means the state of Israel is going bye-bye.
So this massive progressive audience that Ethan has, adopted over the years, they're becoming increasingly critical of his position because now he's talking about it not on Leftovers, he's now talking about it on his podcast.
What I want to do is show you guys how I see Israel, because you don't see that. When you listen to Hasan and you hear all these fucking mega lefties talking about it like it's some super racist, crazy, like Jim Crow style of society. Like, I can't wait to show you guys.
The other day, Bibi fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about.
So Ethan is having this back and forth with his liberal audience, leftist people online, progressive content creators, Hasan, all of these different people. He's finding new people every day, basically, to get in fights with.
Of all people, this guy, Matt Lieb, Frogan and Denims and all these dipshits, and everybody thinks this guy's awesome, apparently. Even though he looks like Milhouse, fucking dork. Denims, by the way, was the real villain of the video. Evil, hateful, fucking... And I'll say it and I'll double down on it. And people... Oh, no? Did I not go there?
And it's all culminated, at least for my story, in Ethan burning bridges with people until he burned the bridge with me. Since Ethan and Hasan's falling out, I've been keeping to myself mostly. I don't have many nice things to say. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other creators, maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace and we can rekindle our friendship. So that's been my approach. I've occasionally thrown a joke Ethan's way in the form of Hasan Piker versus Ethan Klein for boxing.
I like iDubbbz's. He's a good guy, but I don't like this stupid. It's not a fucking petty beef. It's like, this guy is evil and he's doing anti-Semitism. And also he's way out of my weight class.
He didn't like that, but fucking sometimes you gotta just throw something out there.
That's crazy that he just drops that I'm evil and I'm doing anti-Semitism, that it's not a petty beef. Crazy. What a crazy statement, dude.
I used to work with this video editor named Froggy Tonic. I discovered him because he was in the circles online that I was in. And one of those circles is an H3 fan. He watched Ethan's content, he liked Ethan's content, until he didn't like Ethan's content. There would be an occasional Froggy tweet where I'd be like, I agree with that, you know? Like, I'm not gonna endorse it, I'm not gonna retweet it or like it, but fair enough.
I guess I just missed my old friend. Some wings are too bird feathered, colored.
Now that brings us to February 28th of this year. Now, my former editor of a year and a half ago did say some truly mean shit. He called Hila the C word. He said they're trying to kill their dog with cheddar cheese and a bunch of other shit, I'm sure. Ethan, at some point, discovers that iDubbbz's former editor says this horrendous shit about him and Hila. But no one's asking the question, where does Ethan get this information from? You see, it would be very obviously a problem if Ethan was discovering this content by scrolling through Twitter looking for something to upset himself with. He has maybe set it up in such a way where his employees feel the need to send him this information. And that would be horrible. They shouldn't be doing that. They should be sending you things that are entertaining for your show that don't fucking trigger the hell out of you. Why is there so much work being put into discovering this guy on Twitter who's barely getting any interactions, linking him to me and posting on the Reddit, when there's no work being put into who the fuck is the person on the Reddit who's posting this in the first place? If you do a little bit of research, it seems like it's an account whose intention is to make Ethan crash out. One of the users on the Snark Reddit points this out. They're like, I've seen this account before. This account has scraped its history and it's now trying to make Ethan burn bridges. This is within Ethan's own community. Like, this is the thing that he needs to be critical of. It's not me. So yes, I am willing to admit that my former editor was being very nasty, uncharitable, and fucked up towards Ethan and Hila on Twitter. But Ethan and Hila are doing the same shit on their podcast. So I don't want to fucking hear it.
Terrorist supporter.
The CEO of Twitch.
Pedophile.
Now I'm going to watch and respond to the two podcast streams where Ethan and Hila call us spineless cowards.
Anyway, this guy was saying shit like that Hila's a Nazi, that she kills kids, that she went on like, she's a IDF baby killer, all this types of shit. And that's showing up right up on us Nisa's and iDubbbz's feed. My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up. You know why? Because they'll get murdered.
You don't know what's on my feed. What the fuck is happening? For all you know, I only use the For You tab. For all you know, I only use lists. For all you know, I'm seeing these things tweeted out by my editor of a year and a half ago and saying, God, that is nasty. I'm just not gonna throw someone away because they're having a parasocial weird moment. Just like I'm not gonna throw Ethan Klein away because he's having a parasocial weird crash out.
How many women I fucked? Hasan, by the way, thousands. Yeah, thousands. Let me ask Galia. These shoes do not go. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Hasan's the type of dude who watches himself in the mirror when he has sex.
Watching me on a 30-second delay on your stream.
Wait.
Anytime I see new clips, I'm like, come on, bro. Why are you saying these things? Why? It goes back to stupid, sexy Hasan every time. It's so strange. It's a strange thing to do.
That's what wait, how does he know I'm watching already?
Because you've been talking about it for the last 5 minutes.
It's not a fucking petty beef. It's like, this guy is evil and he's doing anti-Semitism. These shoes do not go. I'm sorry.
There are many people, I'm sure, who have unfollowed you for the things that you've said and done. And I'm sure there are even more people who have stayed following you because they don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They don't want to throw someone away because they've had some hard moments. We're all fucking human.
My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up. You know why? Because they'll get murdered.
And what you're saying to me is that I'm a bad friend and I'm a piece of shit. I'm spineless. I'm cowardly because I am following someone on Twitter.
Because they have mobilized such an insane harassment group It's not bad enough that I have this group of people harassing me and everyone in my life. It's that people outside of this group, journalists, creators, are actively participating in this gaslighting to make it seem like I'm fucking crazy.
Dude, this is... I don't think I'd seen him go the distance on this stuff, but like that's crazy, man. That's how does no one around you go, dude, what do you mean journalists are like actively gaslighting you? Holy fuck. It is truly a historic crash out in the sense that it's ironic because like he used to make fun of Tim Pool. Tim Pool has that famous clip where he's like, nobody wants to date me. Is it my fault? No, it's everybody else's fault. And he used to fucking joke about that all the time. He used to use that all the time to make fun of Tim Pool. How does he not see that this is literally that? The fact that the crew hasn't done anything is borderline negligent. I don't think the crew can do anything, dude. That's what I'm like. I don't think they can talk to him at this point.
I mean, I don't know what he's getting at here. Like, yeah, people are gaslighting you. A lot of people gaslit me when I apologized. That was actually like the #1 type of harassment I got, was people gaslighting me and taking my newfound woke ideology to its extreme.
I probably done and stood by iDubbbz and Anissa more than anybody. I've stood by them when all the internet hated them.
I don't like that Ethan brought this up because it makes the relationship feel very transactional. Like, you know, we're just meant to support each other online despite our own personal morals or principles.
But I'll say this, I don't think they're fucking any friends of mine. And certainly I don't think they're any fucking friends of mine based on the text conversation I had with them too before I even talked about it. So I have nothing. Like, I don't need any fucking halfway friends, man.
I thought the text conversation that I had with him was very empathetic. I basically just said, like, I know you and Hila are experiencing a ton of harassment, and I essentially empathize with that, and I think there's something positive to get out of the conversation. But he refused to talk on the phone unless I was willing to publicly say something about my former editor and denims. As much as you don't want halfway friends, I also don't want that kind of halfway friend. I don't want someone who's going to give me like an ultimatum to have a conversation.
Could you not say something when this is like, imagine like one of you guys is like, Hasan actually wants to go to Gaza so he can strangle Israeli babies or some shit like that. I'd be like, you imagine me not saying something.
You're trying to make a one-to-one comparison where there isn't one. This guy that I follow on Twitter is not in the same relationship as you and one of your current employees who is streaming with you 3 days a week, 3 hours a day for the past 10 years. At one point during the stream, Ethan and Hila bring up Adam McIntyre. Now, Adam does basically the same thing as my former editor. He's critical of Ethan and Hila, and he is sometimes uncharitable and nasty towards them.
Adam McIntyre needs to just like disappear. That guy is a piece of shit, like of the lowest order. I never even stood by him when he talked bad about Trisha having a kid and called him like the spawn of Satan. He was supposedly on our side. I would never even co-sign that. I was disgusted by that statement too. I remember when he called her kid the spawn of Satan.
I never said anything
and
like
I was
that.
supposed to be like cheering on, but I wasn't going to cheer that on. That's disgusting.
Why do we forget that he called her children, which is something we would never do, the spawn of Satan?
It's disgusting. He's a piece of shit of a human.
It's just incredible who ends up being the good guys in this story. You know, it's really something.
Unfortunately, they never made a statement. They never said that they disagree with his statements about Trisha's baby until it's useful. Like, what is it, 3 years later? Like, I mean, you're talking about it like you were aware of it at the time and that there was some amount of pressure or enthusiasm for you to get down with that. And what it sounds like to me is that you did see it at the time and you were like, ooh, I don't like that. And you didn't endorse it and you didn't fuck with it. Huh. It's almost like that is a fucking identical situation to me.
It's just incredible who ends up being the good guys in this story. You know, it's really something.
So yeah, the reason I'm bringing this up is because they're trying to like paint themselves as the good guys. And they're saying like, yeah, we strongly disavow things that are said, even about our enemies. We are the most immoral people on the internet. Unlike Ian and Anissa, who are fucking keeping to themselves. Also, why the fuck does Olivia get the pass?
What a fucking asshole for putting you in that position, Olivia. You're friends with him. And you don't have to say anything, but like, what a fucking piece of shit. What a bad friend to put you in that position just for some fucking clout. It gets people angry at you, like, oh, how can she be friends with him? Which is total bullshit, okay? Olivia did not do anything. And
I want the pass. Do I have to be an employee to get that treatment? Because then you'll just see me as an ally? Or is it because Ethan is afraid of wrongful termination accusations and lawsuits?
And also, I don't mind putting my friend Olivia, who's apparently my real friend, in a terribly weird, fucking uncomfortable situation where you end up getting hate for no reason.
Also, don't frame it as like other people making it hard on Olivia. You're making it hard on all of these people. Please acknowledge your role in this whole fucking thing.
It's true.
Like, it's crazy how warm Ethan is to Olivia and saying how Olivia is essentially just a victim in this whole thing.
It gets people angry at you, like, oh, how can she be friends with him? Which is total bullshit.
But me and Anissa are spineless. Ethan, your whole system is scrambled. My intention isn't to throw the employees under the bus. Like, you guys serve as the fucking foundation for calling out Ethan's hypocrisy on the whole subject. And I know that you guys have probably pushed back against Ethan over the years. How often are you supposed to do that? Do you have to do that every fucking week? It kind of seems like it. And that's exhausting. I don't want to confront my boss. It's not my fucking job to confront my boss and say, today's segment on rapists and pedophiles on Twitch was not my favorite segment to be a part of.
Yeah, friends like these.
Oh, yeah. And our other good friends.
Yeah.
Anissa and Ian. Thanks, Anissa, for standing up for your girl. I actually stood up for you so many times because, like, why would I not? It was crazy.
Yeah, why would you not?
This also doesn't make any sense because, like, I actively avoided talking about Ethan for a year when he apparently was doing a bunch of this stuff about, he was apparently having not the best takes about Israel as Israel was pummeling Gaza. And people kept bringing it up. And I was like, I don't care about what Ethan has to say. I defended him over and over again. I don't expect anything transactional out of this. But it's crazy that, like, for me, I cared more about the issue at hand and not necessarily the drama amongst content creators. So there's an entire compilation out there somewhere. I think it's like 8 minutes, sorry, over the past 16 months. The first, like, post leftovers year from November 2023 all the way to November 2024, pretty much, where I'm like, I don't care. Remember, Ethan is not your enemy. Ethan is not pro-Israel. Because I thought that he wasn't. Like, I thought that he was maybe internally conflicted to a certain degree, given his proximity to Israel. I thought that he had an attitude that was significantly more critical of Israel than what it has become. And on top of that, I recognized that there is a lot of anti-Semitism on the rise. And I think that Ethan, as someone who had experienced a lot of the anti-Semitism online, was unable to parse through the actual progressive fans that he had that were telling him, not from an anti-Semitic perspective, that what he was saying was Zionist propaganda that is pro-Israel propaganda, and the people who were just being anti-Semitic and saying, of course, you're a Jew, that's why you believe these things. I recognize that. I understand that. There are plenty of Jewish Hasanabi heads in this community, many of which had a different opinion on Israel before October 7, many of which that went through those motions. That's precisely the reason why I had Simone Zimmerman and Noah Colwin on the broadcast. Noah is obviously, as you guys know, a great friend of mine, host of the Blowback podcast, fantastic podcast about American foreign policy and its consequences. I highly recommend it. But I watched the Israelism documentary, and I had Simone on as well, alongside Noah. And the reason why I did that was because I wanted to help other
people that had been trapped in this internal conflict to see a way out of it, to be able to recognize the social conditioning that led them astray. And I think it's been relatively successful as well. And yet, after all of that, what did I get? Over and over again, just smears, collaborating as Ian showed here, collaborating with a community that has fucking haunted my ass and has tried to turn me into a lolcow, knowing full well what kind of harassment I withstood from the sex pestiny community. He went around and he got clips from them to prove a point to his audience that no, Ethan and his statements on Israel wasn't the reason why progressive fans were leaving him behind and calling him a Zionist. It was actually me. I had brainwashed his progressive fan base. I had brainwashed them with my, I guess, stupid, sexy Hasan ways, that I was a truly evil person and a secret anti-Semite. Fucking insane.
I mean, if that's truly what you believed and you weren't just going to use it later.
Of course I was going to stand by you. That's insane. It's absolutely insane and disgusting. But now you choose to hang out with people that would have a problem with you if you defended me.
I'm not going to assume that Hila knows, but I'll say it for anyone who doesn't know. Anissa is half Lebanese and half Irish. For anyone unfamiliar, the Irish have been on the receiving end of a lot of oppression and genocide. On the part of the Lebanese, they've received a lot of oppression and attacks from the IDF. So Anissa is very well familiar with the propaganda and the shit coming out of Israel. Choosing now, out of all the times, to be like, please defend me. No, we're not going to fucking defend you.
Rudy was saying that Palestinians are taught at 2 years old to kill Americans.
Do we have that
I
one?
mean,
Like just the other day, BB fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about.
He looked mean. I thought he was mean just because he looked mean.
No, it's not.
So yes, you caught us. We're not going to run to your defense when, I don't know, we follow people. We be following. That's one fucked up thing that you can say about Anissa and I is when we're on Twitter, we do be following.
So,
the problem.
Okay, if you want to hang out with those people and have no spine and not stand up for another girl that stood up for you, enjoy your new.
Like, is there no concept here of like the output? Is that not even remotely important or interesting to the subject matter? It's just something that I don't understand at all, where they're like, oh, everything that we say about Israel is just, you can't have any difference in opinion on it, because if you do, then you're anti-Semitic, most likely. You're doing it in an anti-Semitic fashion. Like, this is the major point of contention. Content creators have a finite amount of time online, okay? What you do with that time and what you do with that platform and what you do with that influence matters. And if all you do in the limited time that you have online is to constantly attack pro-Palestinian content creators, undermine them, demand that they get deplatformed, okay, call them fucking anti-Semitic terrorists over and over again, yeah, of course people are going to be like, yeah, I disagree with that. I totally disagree with that, especially when the backdrop of this conversation, when we are all living in profoundly privileged conditions here in the fucking Western world, in the United States of America, in West Hollywood or Bel Air, right? Like, we are incredibly privileged. And this entire conversation revolves around like your own personal feelings about how people don't agree with you. Like, it's just unimaginably selfish. It's so goddamn self-centered. It does not make any sense, especially when the backdrop of this is a live-streamed, endless sequence of child murder. So much so that Ethan made it such a joke
that he would just be like, oh, there's a genocide happening. How can you do this? There's a genocide happening. Like that, it became a punchline for him. He started referring to Israel's genocide as nothing but a punchline. The genocide card, he said. The equivocation here of like them defending Ian and Anissa and then expecting the same in return also doesn't make sense, because Ian came out and said, I fucked up, at a time when he didn't need to do that at all. He could have just pivoted to like maybe centrist content and then later down the line maybe some more progressive content if it was disingenuous, if this change wasn't real. Okay? If this change wasn't organic, if this change wasn't real, he could have just as easily kept doing right-wing content. That shit pops off. We all know what the internet looks like, especially with the 4chanification of Twitter to begin with. He could have kept farming it. But he had an honest change of heart. And in that honest change of heart, he came out and recognized that he should apologize for his past mistakes, and he lost a big chunk of his fan base as a consequence of that. People became active haters of him. He had nothing to apologize for because of his apology, okay? It is not the same situation. Standing by your friends in that regard, if you agree with the decision that they made to apologize, is an entirely separate situation than like actively crashing out on every single small, large content creator that's fucking pro-Palestine, trying to get people fired, trying to get people deplatformed, trying to take down an entire platform while you're on YouTube. Like, it's just crazy that yeah, of course, there's no equivalence here. There's no equivocation to demand unconditional support in this situation because I stood by you when you made a brave choice to fucking apologize for your past mistakes. Suing people for Reddit clips, getting your lawyer to demand insane things out of college students that are operating anonymous Reddit accounts, thinking that there's this massive conspiracy that you will uncover if you engage in frivolous lawsuits against people who cannot defend themselves against those lawsuits. And you know that they can't do that because you can bury them in a mountain of paperwork and know full well that they don't have the finances to be able to fucking defend themselves in a court of law. That's crazy.
Friends.
She's friends with people like Denims.
I know.
Her chat,
yeah.
which I'll show.
With
Denims is actually participating in this whole Child Protective Service lie.
Yeah.
Which I'll
and if
show
you're
you guys
friends with them, then you're saying what they're saying.
You'll notice that Ethan and Hila start talking about this Denims character. Originally, the complaint was about my former editor. He's been chatting shit about Ethan and Hila for the past year at least. They only care about it now because I guess it was spoon-fed to them via their Reddit that's clearly looking out for them. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, we are friends with Denims, but I would say it's the same level of friendship that we had with Ethan and Hila. It's like kind of an internet friendship. We think that she's a good person like we think Ethan and Hila are good people. Kind of a tricky situation. How can you possibly think that they're both good people at their core? People can have crash out moments. People can say things that they don't mean. People can say things because they want internet clout and attention. I don't know, I think they're both probably guilty of saying things that they don't mean for internet clout and attention. Right now, one's a little bit more fucking nasty to me than the other.
I just don't see how you can be my friend and also be friends with someone like that.
Well, you can't. So I already forgot about you.
I actually have a lot of friendships that are kind of that way, where it's like, you know, one of the friends doesn't fuck with the other friend, but there is someone in the middle who kind of fucks with both of them, but separately. Yeah, there's a lot of friendships that are like that. I'm not going to make you guys like meet up and kiss or anything.
He got apparently real mad at Steiny too for having me on his podcast. That episode's coming out tomorrow, I think. I don't know.
Anything. I get it. You guys are in fucking... You're either my best friend who's deep-throating me to the base of my cock, or you are Satan. You're the devil.
The last thing I said to Anissa, we were texting before I ever talked about it. She's like, I don't care about this guy. He's a nobody. And, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, then you'll have no problem publicly denouncing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, the conversation ended.
She never replied.
Ethan, you can't even phrase it in a way that doesn't make you sound like you're being coercive and shitty. Well, then, you should have no problem publicly denouncing it, right? Does that sound like a friend? It kind of sounds like something a powerful villain would say.
But it was so funny how she immediately went to comment everywhere, like on our subreddit. She immediately had to comment like, oh, he doesn't work with us anymore.
Then
but that was it. That's all she said.
But then say that you don't
Okay, do you have
agree.
anything else to say for your friends, though?
One of the reasons Anissa was so quick to clarify things in your Reddit is because your Reddit was already talking about who this editor is, and they were spreading misinformation that it was our co-host on our podcast, Uncle Dane. So yeah, the last thing we wanted is this guy getting pulled into this mess, and you guys don't give a fuck. Would it have been nicer and more supportive to say, we don't agree with the things he's saying and we support Ethan and Hila? Sure. Like, yeah, that would have been a nicer thing to say. Our silence means something. It means that we would like to pause this relationship until you figure your shit out. And then maybe we can find a moment in time, I don't know how long it'll be, but a moment in time in the future where things are a little bit easier to broach. I don't think we need to do it right now, but you've insisted that this is an important thing to address. I would have been perfectly fine with you not blasting me on your Instagram story. I would have been perfectly fine with you not blasting me and my wife on your podcast twice. I would be fine with you not brigading my comment section on my podcast that gets 3,000 views a week because I prefer to not do harassment campaigns and instead talk about Vampire's Kiss.
Like they say something like he doesn't work for me, and I.
That's the other thing is just like it's so it's so aggressive. Like this is the method. It's the tested and true method to just constantly do this. This is how you churn out content where you just discard people, real people, sometimes people that are in your life. It just feels so crazy to do this. It feels like you don't care about human beings as human beings. And it's all toys to play with that you can just cast aside and discard like a piece of trash. The issues themselves don't matter. People's belief systems don't matter. Everyone is a piece of content for you. Anyone and everyone can be discarded, cast aside, like it's nothing.
I strongly disagree, and I support Ethan and Hila. The problem is
that
makes me think of your behavior since you started being a Twitch streamer. Yeah, I famously did this all the time, over and over again, and don't famously hold on to relationships with people who are literally doing that to me, regardless of how vicious they might be, with the hopes that I can change their minds, while my audience fucking yells at me and consistently tells me that I am a loser who doesn't care about real politics, but instead wants to defend his rich streamer friends. Like, what are we talking about? People unironically in my community yell at me all the goddamn time. And the people that I started this stuff with, including my fucking best friend in the real world, okay, that I brought onto Twitch, Will Neff, whose girlfriend, Caroline, I've also known for almost a fucking decade, are now content creators that have their own communities on top of everything else. But besides that, like Austin, who I have a podcast with, like these are the people who I started this journey with. And our friendship has only grown throughout these years. I don't want to have conflict. I don't want to have drama.
drama, while it's great for clicks, right? It's fucking awesome for clicks. It's awesome for the algorithm. Takes away from the actual goals that I have here. Cutie being left out here, that's true. I got smoke for Cutie right now. That's why. Who's Cutie? I don't even know her. I know I can't even joke about stuff like this because people will like clip this out of context and just like post it and blast it and brigade everything and anything that I've ever been on. You know what I mean? To prove a point where it's like Hasan has transactional relationships. Look at him. You know what I mean? It's like, no, of course I love Cutie. Like, for the record. I did this with Aiden Ross until it was impossible to salvage. I did this with XQC until it was impossible to salvage. There's a reason why, outside of like classic quote unquote villains, okay, online, there's a reason why you won't hear this kind of attitude from many other content creators. And it's not because I have them under a web of lies and gaslighting and fucking, you know, mind control or whatever the fuck Ethan might suggest. That's not the reason. It's because I try to keep to myself. I did it with Nick Merckx. I try to talk to Nick Merckx directly when I saw him going down this right-wing path. Notice how there's one thing that is the most consequential aspect to all of these stories is their politics. Okay? It's their politics, first and foremost. That's the most consequential aspect because at the end of the day, as I've said this, and I did this with Asmongold too, at the end of the day, what I care about for content creators in particular that have massive communities is their output, what they are putting out there and what they are influencing, what they are normalizing. And even with Ethan, I didn't care about any of the shit that he was saying. But the reason why I obviously started talking about it was because after a year of sneak disses and smears and whatnot, he very clearly put himself out there as someone who was pro-Israel. Like, he does what he was doing. And he chose to do this at like 12 months in, a year into a genocide. It was a political disagreement that I had, and I tried to stick to the issues on that front too, and not the petty grievances. Chatters still try to debate me to this day. They're like, oh, look at his tattoo, look at this, look at that. It's like, I don't care about that kind of stuff. I care about what he says. I care about what any content creator says within the finite amount of time that they appear online, what they are presenting to their communities, what they're advocating for. That's it.
But she doesn't.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
She actually.
She thinks they have a point.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Go fuck yourself. What about your girl? This is what I'm talking about. This aggression that you're putting out into the world. What the fuck do you think we're gonna do? You think I'm gonna fucking sit on my hands when you do this shit? Like, this is nasty. We had such a fair response to what you guys were going through. We don't support harassment. It's a bad thing, but it happens and you're perpetuating it.
You fucking propagandist, lying scumbag, terrorist supporter. He probably sets up a mirror and jerks off watching himself. Dan KKK Clancy has a similar view of Hitler. Because Dan Clancy, the Nazi, fucking anti-Semite.
You can't expect other people to stop harassing you if you continue to harass people. Let's think about it on a micro level. Have you ever been in a comment section and found someone to argue with? It doesn't stop. It can literally go on forever if you don't want to touch grass.
I mean, yeah, this was kind of like a line, what happened today, that should never be crossed, even by like the most cynical, toxic people. It's going to have ramifications in terms of how I conduct myself. In terms of these fair weather friends who are, you know, so happy to.
My one gripe with not just this community, but the online left as a whole is the almost reactionary campus attitudes to people. Your charitability is the number one takeaway I have. It's the reason I believe what I believe. I have a friend who was a counter-protester last year to our campus protest and is now pro-Palestine within less than 1 year. Your charitability is the best thing I've learned, and it's never too much, in my opinion. Yes. That's it. Because I recognize that no one is born with a fucking copy of Das Kapital by their crib, by the baby's crib side, okay? No one starts off, especially in a country like America, or even in a country like Israel, okay? A settler colony. Both of these countries, in their inception, did genocide, ethnic cleansing, ethnic displacement. There's a lot of similarities between America and Israel, down to the connection to the greatest evil historically, the English. Okay? No one is born, quote unquote, woke. I certainly wasn't either. So I understand that it takes time, self-reflection, self-criticism. These are difficult things to come by. So someone has to be fucking charitable and not constantly be like, oh, you've said something that I consider to be a microaggression. You are the greatest evil of all time. I think it's like a lot of people do that. And I even understand why some leftists do that. The reason why they do that is because they're sick and tired of constantly having to be on the defense. Okay? I get it. But you're being charitable to narcissistic content creators. See, this is what I mean. This is what I mean. You're doing it. You're doing it right now. You're fucking doing it. I'm not just charitable to narcissistic content creators. I'm charitable to everyone. The fuck are you talking about? My point is that this community is 42,000 people because of that. Do you understand? It's because of that. It's because if I were constantly calling everybody fucking white nationalists, white supremacists, racist, which is what right-wingers say I do all the fucking time, ironically enough, if I didn't assume that people could be charitable and go on their own journey of learning and development and change what their belief structure looks like, then I wouldn't do what I'm doing. The entire purpose of what I'm doing is to cause people to maybe reflect on previous things that they consider to be unshakable foundational truths. This is what it's all about. And that's precisely why I maintain this level of charity for content creators as well as I do to chatters as well who want to learn. Now, of course, in that process, there are people who catch me when I'm pissed off, or there are plenty of people who try to abuse that charity to come in and say, just curious, why are you a piece of shit terrorist anti-Semite? Just curious. Like, you're not fucking just curious, all right? And of course, I yell at them, and there are hours and hours of compilations like that, right? But having said that, the overwhelming majority of this community, if not the damn near entirety of it, all the way from when I had 35 live concurrent viewers to 35,000 live concurrent viewers, have had at least one issue that they've changed their minds on. The fuck? Half of you motherfuckers that are yelling at me for not being for being far too charitable don't realize that there was a point in time when if you had spoken out about a thing that you had firmly held convictions on, you would wish that I'd be charitable to you as well. That's it. That, I think, is my superpower in general. I have a firm commitment to constantly trying to have people be charitable to me because I understand that that is the only way. That is the only way I can get people to second guess what they believe is the truth, what they've been socially conditioned into believing. And many of you who have taken advantage of that and have grown because of that, because this was a welcoming community to people who truly want to learn, to truly see a different perspective, you then turn around and don't fucking repeat that kindness to others. It's ridiculous. That's it. And the reason why I understand why people have reactionary attitudes is because leftists will literally constantly talk about social conditioning in a white supremacist, racist, transphobic society that we exist under, and then they get shocked when motherfuckers reflect that perspective. Yeah, of course. What do you mean? If you recognize the impact of systemic racism, you have to also understand that motherfuckers are going to be kind of racist without thinking about it. Okay? The fuck? Like, what's the expectation here? Of course they're going to be fucking racist. That doesn't mean they will stay racist. If you think people are intrinsically evil and racist, and there's no way to change that, then why the fuck are you even trying? Like, what's the purpose here? That you're just slotted into a position at birth? You're just going to be a Marxist-Leninist, a card-carrying communist. And this person is always going to be a liberal who's a racist. Like, what the fuck? What are you talking about? That's not how human beings are. That's not how you are. Always look within and analyze the changes that you have had about key issues that you now look back at and recognize how differently you thought. There are people in here who used to be Ben Shapiro fans. There are people in here who used to be Steven Crowder fans. There are people in here who used to be Destiny fans. There are people in here who used to be Ethan Klein fans. And over the course of many years, their attitude has shifted on a lot of these issues. Would you want everyone to constantly reduce you to who you used to be? No? Then you recognize why you have to be charitable to others. This is why I always tell you, be fucking normal. That's it.
Be friends as long as they're getting something out of it.
Ethan, that is a rich thing to say. Like, you're the H3 podcast, okay? There's a lot of friends of the show. There's even more fair weather friends of the show. Let's not get into this shit, okay? That is so bizarre and insulting to suggest that I was only ever being friends with you to get something out of it. No, I'm friendly with you, and I'd say I'm a light friend because it's been pleasant hanging out with you. I've enjoyed your content over the years, and as of late, it's gotten really fucking shitty.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Who else? Who else do we want to burn today?
Who else do we want to burn today? You're making it so fucking obvious that this is your emotional dumping ground. It's horrible. This is not what podcasts are. There was a way to approach this to say like, yeah, we feel hurt by you guys not saying something. You've decided to do the extra thing and attack. Now, in fairness, I am attacking back, but I feel very insulted and I feel defensive and I feel like I am speaking up for a lot of people who have problems with you and a lot of people who have been on the receiving end of your harassment.
It's so easy to be anti-racist. Everybody's anti-racist. Racism is the worst thing in the world, right? We fucking hate racists. Fuck racists.
Microaggressions.
The minute that they actually have to stick their neck out for somebody, the minute they have to actually risk.
This is also the other problem. Is like, although I dislike you, Hasan, I absolutely do agree on your point that Ethan Klein is an absolute muppet. What the fuck? Listen to me. Okay, listen to me. Saying that you are defending Israel after 16 months of genocide, and that is a byproduct of Zionist ideology, which is a fascist ideology, is not anti-Semitic. You cannot, there's a difference between people that fucking yell about me all the goddamn time and people who compare me to Osama bin Laden. One is Islamophobic, and there's not really much I could do about it. Who gives a fuck, right? I mean, we live in the post 9/11 universe. It is what it is, right? The other is people hating me for a multitude of different reasons. If I were to constantly fucking run around and be like, oh, you guys are being Islamophobic, you guys are being Islamophobic. When people go, Hasan, you have a Porsche. You've leased a Porsche while you're a socialist. What the fuck is wrong with you? And I was like, that's Islamophobic. People would laugh at me. At least categorize why people have their disagreements with you. You know what I mean? Try to figure out exactly what this is. It's not always about anti-Semitism. You know what I mean? Yes, I fucking leased a Porsche, goddammit. Ironically enough, he went and bought the same Porsche after, and now he fucking runs around talking about Hasan as a wealthy hypocrite socialist.
Something to put themselves in under scrutiny, to sacrifice something personally to stand up for racism, then all of a sudden it's like, hey, I don't want to get involved.
And that's drama.
How much do you care?
I don't do drama.
How much
Sorry.
do you actually care? If you're, isn't that the whole point? Like,
I realize that Ethan and Hila are more scared now than they've probably ever been. I feel like anti-Semitism is a thought in their heads now more than ever. And it's not completely unjustified to be thinking about that sometimes. You guys are just hurt, and you're kind of like dancing around and making very like loose, poorly thought out analogies for something that doesn't even apply to us. It's like me making this video is the standing up for something, and it's saying, fuck you, you guys are being bad. You know, I don't think you're bad people, but you're being bad. You're behaving poorly. You're hurting people.
I mean, go back to the civil rights. You think that the people who are like the white kids who are protesting with the black students, you think that they were just like...
Yeah, this is a civil rights violation. If you don't defend me, a podcaster who fucking constantly chirps about Israel, if you don't defend me, this is a civil rights violation.
Not risking anything? Those kids who are marching with the black students and...
So in Ethan's analogy, he's the black student, and I'm the white student, but I'm the white student that's not, you know, marching by his side. I'm not doing the difficult thing. You're gonna have to march on your own, black student.
Marching with the black students and...
I mean, why is it inspiring? Why is it inspiring?
Well, and it's the same...
What a fucking laughable thing to compare yourself to. Jesus Christ.
Thing, to bring it back to Hassan just because, but it kind of is the same thing. Like, I was thinking about going to Gaza until I found out it's dangerous. He's a total performative activist that doesn't give a single fuck about the cause.
Ah, it's been performed exquisitely. Harassing one person and seamlessly transitioning into harassing another one. If anyone's been watching for the past fucking year, I'm pretty sure they have a good idea of your feelings about Hasan.
Like, people like Anissa are the perfect example because she's friends with these people. She's friends with Denims. Denims is streaming this story about our kid
I'll show that, yeah.
getting Giarda from the dog, whatever.
I'm sorry, I'll accept this take, this position from anyone except you guys. You have laid the groundwork for this type of streaming, which is watching people's shit and giving your unfiltered reaction to it. Why would you expect Anissa, of all people, to say something to Denims? Okay, so by that logic, we should be saying shit to you guys all the time. But I have a feeling you guys wouldn't like if we said shit like that to you all the time. Yeah, we've been respecting you as independent content creators. You can do what you want. We'll treat you as adults. Maybe we shouldn't have been treating you as adults.
She could say so much, and it would make her a little bit uncomfortable, right? It's not comfortable. She'll get a little bit of shit.
Yeah, just for
but
saying
that would be commendable.
And by the way, it kind of speaks for itself that saying, hey, their house is clean, they're, you know, they're actually good people, like that's going to get you shit. That kind of says it all, doesn't it?
There isn't a single person that I respect who would give a fuck if I publicly said that Ethan and Hila are great with their kids, Ethan and Hila didn't kill their dog, and Ethan and Hila wipe their asses or don't have giardia or whatever the fucking the prompt is. No one would care. The only person who would care is me, because I'm like, why did I tweet this out? I'm not tweeting out because I'm not your fucking lapdog. That's why I'm not tweeting it out. I'm not saying it to my audience because I don't give a fuck. It's not my business.
That's
also, like, you can... People disagree with you, Ethan.
A lot of people do, as a matter of fact. Not only do they disagree with the way you go about dealing with issues, okay, but also people disagree with your overall fucking sentiment. They disagree with your opinion. And it's not in an anti-Semitic capacity either. Some of the people that Ethan has deplatformed are Jewish, okay? Like the iDubbbz's podcast. He called him a token. A person that he tried to get fired from their Good Mythical Morning production job. Matt Lieb, also Jewish. Like, what do you mean? It's like you don't care. It's not anti-Semitism at all. It's just me. People don't like what I have to say. They must be anti-Semitic. Like, what a fucking silly way to approach reality. Yeah, well, I'm not saying Noah Cohen, Felix Biederman, or Lowell overruled because he hasn't tried to get them fired. Because they don't really have fireable jobs.
That's, in my opinion, doing something that's
Yes, it
difficult
does.
and standing by your principles.
Ethan
That's
brought
the whole
up how
point. That's
Sam
what makes
Hyde-
standing by your principles.
Ethan brought up how Sam Hyde broke iDubbbz. Some of his chat likes Sam Hyde now. Dude, that is crazy. He made Sam Hyde look good. Lemafayal. We love Sam. Just because we hate Hasan and iDubbbz doesn't mean we like Destiny and Sam Hyde. Who's Sam Hyde? Sam got him, Lamau. Sam's going to eat this up, Law. Sam is too smart. Law, Sam Hyde W. It's wild. It's wild because, like, if there is a real rabid anti-Semite in this equation, it's not me. It's not iDubbbz. It's fucking Sam Hyde. He's literally a pedophile Nazi, okay? Not only is he a straightforward Nazi, he's also a fucking abusive pedophile. And this motherfucker is like, he doesn't have issues with that because, like, Sam Hyde hasn't said anything about him personally. It's just so simple. It's what you see is what you get. If you criticize Ethan, okay, recently, if you have something to say about Ethan recently, no matter how gentle you might be initially, you're the fucking worst guy, all right? You're the worst guy on the planet. You're the biggest anti-Semite on the planet. If you have something to say about Israel or Ethan's takes on Israel, oh, God, that is the highest stage of anti-Semitism you could arrive at. You could be a literal fucking neo-Nazi. He also said Sam is an extraordinarily funny guy that inspired me when I was coming up. He's just a little crazy and potentially a Nazi. Yeah, I'm a rabid anti-Semite terrorist. Sam Hyde, who fucking is an out and about Nazi, is potentially a Nazi. What is happening? How can people not see that this motherfucker doesn't give a shit about anti-Semitism at all? What do you mean potential?
Principles admirable is that it's not always easy.
Why are you saying that I'm not standing up for my principles when you don't even know what they are? I get, like, we're a little bit past directly naming me, so we might have gone off on a tangent. If you maybe accepted the phone call and we talked about it, you could have asked me, hey,
yeah, real life friends with Andrew Anglin, like, who gave to his defense fund. Like, get the fuck out of here.
what are your principles? And I can tell you the way I've been behaving is exactly in line with my principles. Now we're going to talk about the BDS list. We're going to start off with Frogan because obviously this is like as bad as it gets. If you're following Frogan, that can only mean that you're anti-Ethan. Oh, this is not a good start. Love of the H3 podcast. You are following Frogan, so that means that you are anti-Ethan. Sam, Morg Pie, friend of the show. Olivia, Ian, Daily Dose of Internet is anti-Ethan. Jesus, this is fucked up. Pokimane, comment etiquette. Oh shit, Asmongold's in here? Asmongold follows Frogan? No, Asmon. That means you're anti-Ethan. That's fucked up. We're gonna wanna avoid these creators at the top of the list, but one tier below them are the creators who associate with them. They're essentially endorsing all of their statements. You got me, you got Anissa, I think Hasan's in there. You'd think that Hasan would be on the top of the BDS list, but that's not the case. Hasan provides additional value for people. Ethan can turn a blind eye to people collaborating with Hasan because that's what he did. You gotta be the lowest of the low to be associating with the Frogans and the Denims of the...
No. He's mad about that too. He literally, ironically enough,
maybe iDubbbz is not aware of this. I remember this. Ironically enough, after brigading the trash taste, the brigading the trash taste podcast, so did fucking Asmongold. Asmongold did that as well. He turned his crosshairs on Theo Von. The irony, of course, was that Theo Von had literally 1 day before me, and I did not know this at the time, had Candace Owens on. And he thought that he could get Theo Von to look at me as an anti-Semite dangerous terrorist when he had Candace Owens on. And Ethan didn't give a fuck about Candace Owens being platformed by Theo Von. He was like, Hasan is being platformed by Theo Von. Does Theo Von know how much of a dangerous anti-Semite he is? Yeah, make sure Theo knows how you feel about hosting terrorist-adjacent creator. Do you not care at all about how you look, man? Like, think about that. Think about that, bro. Like, this right here is... There are a million examples of Ethan demonstrating that he doesn't give a fuck about anti-Semitism at all and only has this like personal agenda towards people that have said, I don't like what he has to say about Israel. He's just lost in the sauce. He's defending Israel, right? He can't stand that shit significantly more than he actually cares about real fucking anti-Semitism. That he turned around and got mad about this and not about fucking Candace Owens being on the Theo Von broadcast. Like, that's crazy. Like, it's so transparent. You don't have to be the smartest Ethan Klein foot soldier to recognize the inherent irony right here. Okay? Also, 1 minute ago, Jesus Christ, dude, screenshot from 1 minute ago. Holy fuck. I know his ass didn't actually clap that himself. He definitely got it from his subreddit that is actively now a hunting ground for other subreddits, as a matter of fact. So, you know, a lot of crossover with other subreddits there.
The world. To associate with Hasan, that just makes sense because he's famous and he's got a massive fan base. Also, Ethan still follows Hasan on Instagram, so Hasan is in his feed.
And that's showing up right up on...
Yeah, that's... I didn't even realize that, but yeah.
Us nieces and iDubbbz's feed.
It's important to remember that this is a living document and people can be removed or put onto it depending on how Ethan's feeling that day. You have this other tier of creators that exist below Hasan but are still anti-Ethan, but Ethan really doesn't want to bring your attention to these ones because it's kind of unpopular, you know? A lot of them are famous. It's no coincidence that Ethan stays silent when these powerful, popular men are supporting Hasan. It's because Ethan is a coward. He's a bitch-made coward. I think Ethan has an unreasonable amount of respect for these comedians because they have power, they're quick, and I think he knows that they don't fuck with his ideology. But he's gonna keep that to himself because the last thing that he wants to discover is that people that he respects and looks up to, they don't fuck with him.
Bill Burr came on. It was like the worst fucking show. It was just horrible. That was like my lowest moment on podcast history. We could talk about Bill Burr, ruined my life. Bill Burr made Ethan go on Lexapro. I was prescribed it and it was in my bedside. And then it was the Bill Burr episode that made me finally start.
When Stavros goes on Hasan's stream and he mocks your content nuke.
I actually saw a really interesting video about you, man, and I don't know that I'm even comfortable being here anymore.
Oh, no.
It really kind of shed light on you in a way.
Yeah.
You kind of like have leftist politics and stuff like that, and I actually feel betrayed.
Yeah,
and so I'm actually just here to let you know this is the last time I'm ever coming.
You don't fire back because you're coping. So you're just gonna tuck your tail between your legs and never mention on your podcast that mentions everything. You're bringing up some fucking connection I have on Twitter. Someone mocks you on a stream, you're not touching it. Fuck you, you're a coward. It's just his job. It's just what he does for his job. You know, he doesn't mean it. We're actually good friends. You know, he makes fun of everyone. It's not just me, right? Oh, also, I can't forget about Matt Lieb. Matt Lieb is in this like middle tier. His valuable association is Rhett and Link. So Rhett and Link, conveniently, are also in this category of popular and powerful men who Ethan does not want to burn bridges with.
Oh, Chad Felix. Oh, Felix is going to love this one. Oh, no, dude. Felix Mogg. Oh, dude. Maybe Ethan will finally talk about Felix. I know he's been begging for it. He wants this so bad. Oh, yeah.
Although he's sniffing around.
This guy, Matt Lieb, he works for Good Mythical Morning. Of all people, this guy, Matt Lieb, who apparently is a producer for Good Mythical Morning. Well, this guy works for Good Mythical Morning, acting like he's wholesome, and he's bringing on somebody.
Yeah, dude, classic canary mission ass behavior. Okay. Ooh, someone has said something mean about Israel. That's what Canary Mission does, right? And they're like, well, gotta get him fired. For Ethan, it's not just about Israel, though, obviously. It's more so about his comments about Israel. God forbid anybody makes fun of Ethan. God forbid anybody has a disagreement with Ethan. Holy shit, dude. Time to find out where they work. Get him fired. It's crazy. Yeah, he brought on Boner Box because people were like, hey, Ethan, we're in your fan base. We are pro-Palestine. Who can we watch? Like, this was a demand. People were like, who can we watch that's like a pro-Palestine content creator? And he was like, here, this guy, Mr. Snipe Job himself.
That wants to kill my wife or in a video game. And I think he should be fired, frankly. And I hope he is fired. He's pathetic. And he interviewed basically a terrorist.
I think Ethan only respects power right now, which is one of the reasons I made this video in the first place, is because he thinks I'm weak. He thinks a lot of these other creators that he's gone out of his way to attack, he thinks that they're weak, and he thinks they're a target that he can bully, he can manipulate, he can send lawsuits to. And I want him to know that we're not going to be bullied. You're being a piece of shit, and we're going to call you out.
So here's the button. You've got a video, and you've got an audio. We're hitting both.
Yes.
There's no point.
Let's leave.
Yeah, there's no need.
Yeah.
I don't want to. But shit. Like, how pathetic are you? Don't worry if you don't have it all now. I don't like pedophile. Like the Eye of Sauron. I see you. I see you out there, you fucking cockroach. You'll be living with your...
Dude, I think this button compilation also shows, like, the attitude change as well. Like, the way he has, like, changed over time, not just like because he got physically healthier, right? Like, I'm not talking about that, but mentally, like, where he's at.
Parents for a lot longer, buddy. Yes, please, I want to be a good Jew. I'm a good Jew, please, guys, please.
That's fine.
That was fine. Yeah, I don't think it was that
was fine.
big a deal. Of all the things that it always surprises me what you think crosses the line.
Well, I looked at Olivia and she's like, yes, do it.
Now let's talk about the button. Ethan got this button, or kill switch, as a response to the controversy with Cutie Cinderella. He was not able to control himself in that moment, and instead of figuring out how he can change his behavior, he spent $20,000.
Dan and Ela were like, we would kill button that right now if we could. I can't change who I am.
I know. That's why the kill button is on its way.
That's it. See, exactly.
He uses the button for everything. If his jokes don't land, he's hitting the button.
It was being presented as if the Jordan crying thing.
I hit the button.
Why?
I don't think I needed to, but you guys were giving me crickets, so I panicked.
If he's insecure about getting something wrong, he's hitting the button.
But, okay.
What?
Button for that? What on this frame could Ethan have responded to? Perhaps the country flag that he got wrong? Maybe. I don't know.
If he goes on a problematic tirade, he's hitting the button.
Before, look how sad. But yeah, it's not just that. Like their eyes are like big. I think you guys are wrong on this one. I think you guys are all wrong on this one.
I don't think he's unique in hitting the button. I think if all of us had buttons, we'd hit the button all the time. But if you don't have it, you operate differently. You think about what you're saying. You maybe plan for your show a little bit more. You maybe say, I'm not going to have my podcast be an emotional dumping ground for today. You instead say, ooh, it's important that we stay on topic. Also, the H3 community and Ethan himself use the phrase goblin mode all the time to excuse a lot of his shitty behavior or
what
make
is the button about is when he says something fucked up or says something that he's like insecure about. He just described it. He just hits the button and then because the stream is on a delay, it basically erases that part of the stream. It cuts the feed and it feeds you just like a sequence of cutscenes instead, and it wipes 30 seconds off of what the stream, or 20 seconds I think, off of the stream.
It seem less bad.
Like
I've been diagnosed with goblin mode, actually.
By claiming that what happens is he just gets into this like uncontrolled state he refers to as goblin mode.
I do not call myself goblin mode.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's what you did.
Goblin mode? Is that what you're calling Tourette's now?
Yeah, this person is being ableist when they use. This person is being ableist when they use the terminology that him and his community has started to use, you know? And anti-Semitic, possibly.
No.
I'm surprised that he didn't hit the... I'm surprised he didn't say it was anti-Semitic.
All victims of goblin mode, I would like to issue an apology.
You are goblin mode today. You're goblin mode. Look how many times you paused.
I'm trying, bro.
And I don't think there's no room for using the term goblin mode. I like the idea that you're defending yourself and the little guy by going goblin mode when a big corporation or a big entity is trying to attack you.
Like, if you fuck me over, if you steal money from me, if you patronize me, if you do any of this shit like you're trying to do to me, to treat me like a fucking idiot, I'm crazy, dude. I've gone fucking goblin mode over way less.
Yeah, what's crazy about this is like he started doing this to people that weren't doing that to him.
But you not thinking about what you're saying, not, reflecting on your behavior, not changing your behavior, that's not goblin mode. That's being a child. Let's talk about the crew. I think the crew has been put in the worst working environment that you possibly can be for a fucking podcast. Every crew member has it bad. To be around Ethan, period, would be a nightmare right now.
I'm standing by every fucking syllable of that, okay? What she did was abhorrent. And by the way...
Just don't. Listen, your critique of her is correct. It's just, people are sensitive about women being called that word. And so...
Like, how pathetic are you? You know what I mean?
Well,
I'm not assuming his pronouns. And fuck all these people. Okay. Go ahead.
No,
and I'm not yelling at you. I'm just... Kelly is a black woman, right?
Yes.
Maziel is a...
Korean.
Oh, Dan, come on. You're being such a buzzkill. Yeah, I didn't know Korean. I asked if Koreans are POC. God.
Something I never hear anybody bring up is how Ethan mentioned your guy's old podcast that he was starting, the H3 Industrial Complex, but now DMCA's people. Yeah, for a brief moment, I think Ethan saw the Hasanabi Clips Industrial Complex and my attitude towards IP and thought it would be beneficial for him as well. And I think it would have been beneficial for him as well, but I don't think he cares about that anymore. He's shown that he is willing to copy strike people for ridiculous things, like copy striking a fucking Redditor for posting a clip from his stream. Like, there is just no I don't know what to say about that. That's just like the most ridiculous thing you could do.
Dan's in the bathroom. Let's just not do this right now.
I asked if Korean people are POCs.
The one time the button didn't work and we listened to how he spoke to AB without thinking that the internet was going to hear it, it was rude, it was nasty, and it didn't have this caveat of like, I'm not mad at you. It was anger, and it was uncalled for.
They get access to
We covered most of it.
We're doing it.
What are you
It's
doing?
so awkward and terrible.
I'm sorry, I'm not.
Just like this is what I'm talking about when it's always like.
We need to get home for our kids.
It's like, bro.
Oh no, I didn't want to finish it right now. I was just talking about finishing Wednesday.
On Friday, maybe. Is it? You guys like.
All right, I'm taking my hand off the. What? Okay, well.
Heard all that.
Thanks, Button.
And he didn't want to take accountability for it. He immediately wanted to deflect, and he wanted to say that the button fucked him.
First of all, I appreciate the hard work.
I know
you've
you
done,
do.
and
I
I
know.
loved it, and I really enjoy it. But it's like every time we do it, it's like the show is what it is, and
I know.
it makes it.
I was being selfish.
No, dude, that button f***ed me, dude. Can you imagine that button f***ing me over like that?
The button fucked you? AB fucked you? Who fucked you? You fucked yourself by being an asshole. He makes it seem like he's not a tyrant of a boss.
We're doing it.
What are you
Making it
doing?
so awkward and terrible. I appreciate the hard work.
I know
you've
you
done,
do.
and
I
I
know.
loved it, and I really enjoy it.
Dan, his producer, is constantly clarifying things on the air and making it clear that what Ethan said was a joke. Ethan is being overly defensive, or he's saying things that are like not true and he's exaggerating.
People saw that. They thought that that was what you searched to
I did
pull
not
up that
type
photo. So I'm just clarifying.
Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate you doing that. God forbid.
It's okay because I buttoned it.
Why?
Because
it's not that big of a deal, man.
Just
Like,
your
how
inability to.
No. Hold on, Dan. How does it change anything? People knowing that we did it.
It's fun when it's a surprise.
Okay, well,
Well, you just asked how it changed
Surprise
things.
them on your show.
Okay. All right.
You know, I understand that that's his role, and he's, you know, Ethan's made that his job, or Dan's made it his job. Ethan leans on it so heavily, in the same way that he leans on the button. Ethan is leaning on all of these people to be adults and look after his behavior and give all of this emotional and empathetic energy for Ethan, but Ethan refuses to give it back to them. Also, let's talk about AB and Lena, two Lebanese employees, and you just continue to talk about the conflict like they don't exist. It would be nicer, a lot nicer, for you to shut the fuck up about it. You're allowed to do that.
Hezbollah in Syria alone killed double that much. All right, I'm going to move on. I just want to play Hasan talking about bad empanada.
Ethan doesn't want to change, and he wants to bring the entire crew down with him because he's putting them in this position every day, right? But it's more important that he gets this shit off his chest. It's more important.
Yeah, that was, I assume he buttoned because he kept repeating the false information that Hezbollah personally had like fucking barrel bombed Aleppo or some shit. Like he was making it seem like Hezbollah had an air force that killed 500,000 people minimum during the entirety of the Syrian civil war. And the only reason why he was even talking about that was to fucking quote unquote dunk on me. That's the other thing. That's what's so crazy about it. He didn't give a fuck about any of this shit. He just thought that this would be a cool, like, I got you moment. And basically everyone that understands anything about any conflict whatsoever was looking at it like, no, this is wrong. But it doesn't matter because most people don't know anything. They just think big scary terror guy doing big scary terror things. So they don't actually fucking scratch the surface of this information and try to figure out if Ethan has any veracity to these claims whatsoever. Ironically enough, my position on Hezbollah in Syria has nothing to do with my conversation about why Hassan Nasrallah was assassinated and how it was not justifiable to begin with, alongside thousands of civilians in Beirut, by the way. That's what's so crazy about this whole process. Like he wanted to find anything that would make me look bad. Like that's what's so pathetic about it, if that makes sense. Like, this is shit that I care about, okay? And I know that to a certain degree, it's stuff that Ethan cares about as well. At least like to a certain degree, managing the conversation around Israel or talking about anti-Semitism. Like these are things that he cares about, right? For sure. But the issue is everything comes back to petty grievances and drama with him.
That he dumps. We're all familiar with Goblin mode. Well, Ethan debuted a new mode recently.
And by the way, my ratio is pretty good. Like, I'm looking at like 20 goblin modes to 1 too far. Demon mode, let's call it.
What makes demon mode different than goblin mode is goblins aren't really like an intimidating, powerful force. If the goblin is persistent, it can get what it wants.
When I'm done with the other one, the big one that's dropping probably next week, my full attention is going to you, George. Like the Eye of Sauron. I see you. I see you out there, you fucking cockroach.
Ethan, the reason the internet got behind you when you were being sued by Matt Haas or when you were being sued by Ryan Kavanaugh is because people saw you as the underdog. They saw you as the guy who's defending the common man.
I'm suing, and I cannot wait for you guys to read it. At the moment, we are writing 3 complaints for 3 people.
You are doing the classic rich asshole thing. You have a deficit of friends, you have a surplus of enemies. You feel really bad, you feel hurt, but you also have a surplus of money. So what can you do? You can use that money to bully and intimidate people. These public legal threats that you're making to fellow creators, these legal threats that you're making to people on Reddit, on Twitter, you're like, I'm hurt. These people are hurting me. What do I do to stop it? There's nothing I can do to stop it. I'm powerless. No, you have a ton of power, you have a ton of options, you have a ton of choice. That's exactly what you get for being filthy rich, is you can do all of these things.
I've never want to sue someone for defamation, but like at what point do you kind of fucking have to? I mean, this is like basically someone calling you a pedophile. Be like, yeah, you know, Ethan's a pedophile.
Dan Clancy or whatever, like the CEO of Twitch, and being
Pedophile. Dan KKK Clancy has a similar view of Hitler. Because Dan Clancy, the Nazi, fucking anti-Semite. There are certain things you can accuse people of that rise above to make it like actionable, which is like wrongfully accusing someone of being a pedophile, a sex criminal, a murderer, shit like that. Dan Clancy
Online.
now, in other words, he is a pedophile.
Just the most oblivious person on the planet, dude. No self-awareness. Holy fuck. No self-awareness. Bro, one of his fucking fans showed up, rolled up to Dan Clancy in public. Okay? And I think, like, I don't know what the fuck they were asking him. I forget what the clip was about. But he literally posted it on his Instagram story, encouraging his fans to do this kind of thing. The only other time I've ever seen this happen was Destiny, when Destiny encouraged his fans to fucking come at me personally, okay? And Sam Hyde, ironically enough. They went up and they were like, why did Ethan Klein get banned? And the fucking CEO of Twitch was like, I don't know what you're fucking talking about. And he posted on his Instagram story. He was like, this is a brave journalist. It's so shocking.
You have so much less to go off of saying that than anybody has about
based
Dream.
on his looks. Just based on his
Well, at least you're self-aware.
That's 100% a joke. I have no evidence to conclude that he is.
One of the more notable legal threats that Ethan has sent out recently is against Noah Sampson.
I have nothing but vibes to gain, and potentially your money as well. Don't worry if you don't have it all now. I'll garnish your wages. You're going to be living with your parents for a lot longer, buddy. 26, you know what I mean? Try 46.
Noah made a video that was critical of Ethan and other content creators when they're talking about Israel and Palestine. I mean, the way he's talking about Noah on his podcast is so fucking creepy and weird.
Is this a new thing?
This is a new thing. This happened during the show. Upon initial examination, it seems to check out, and it's not great for young Noah.
Can I say that? Don't say it yet.
I'll say it.
So he's a rape. So of course his standard, I don't know what he's accused of, so I'm not actually going to say, but
Ethan brought on a former partner of Noah to basically just shit talk him and say that he's a bad partner. But that's all that Ethan was able to extract out of it.
you are not accusing him of committing any crimes or doing R-word or anything like that. The accusation is that he's a sleaze.
Absolutely. Noah
Yeah.
Sampson, as far as I know, is not a rapist.
Fuck you to Noah Sampson, who's not just a liar and a scumbag, but also a creep. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Now let's talk about the left-leaning Democrat.
He presents himself as someone like me, a left-leaning Democrat who supports basic things.
The thing that made me start to question Ethan's intentions is that when he was suggested to talk to Sam Cedar, a fellow progressive, a guy that Ethan respects and looks up to.
He works with Sam Cedar at the Majority Report. I respect him and what they do there.
He kept saying that it was racist or anti-Semitic to suggest that he talked to someone who's within the same ethnic group as him.
That's why I said yesterday, like, I urge Ethan to talk to Sam Cedar. There are very thoughtful, very kind anti-Zionist Jews out there that he could talk to. I don't think that I will be able to reach him.
What's the insinuation that I only listen to other Jewish people? You need to talk to my pre-approved list of Jews that like agree with me on everything. You know, it doesn't matter if they're Jewish, dude. It doesn't matter if they're fucking Jewish.
I think most Jews.
I don't think Jews at large
crazy.
view it. I don't think that is the.
In what position are you to even say that?
It's not motivated by myself. It's motivated by
Jews
Jews against anti-Zionist
No,
Jews.
seriously, how can you speak for my entire ethnic group? I find that really interesting.
Ethan, I don't know what to fucking.
Yeah. If you want to know, because he said it was anti-Semitic, I told you guys. My text message to him that he never responded to on Thursday, October 24th. Okay? Thursday, October 24th, the last text message I ever sent to Ethan Klein. I read it on stream before. I'll read it again. I don't know what happened over the last couple of months, but I'm trying this as a last resort. I don't think you see me as an honest person at all, but I really think you should talk to Sam Cedar privately. You clearly respect him a lot more than you respect me, and he has lived experience. This, of course, in reference to Sam literally going to Israel, becoming an anti-Zionist over the years. Okay? Changing his attitude towards Israel. That's lived experience. This isn't about debates or drama or clips out of context. I have always admired and defended your open-mindedness and willingness to change your worldview. So I hope you will do this. In spite of everything that has happened, I hope you're doing fine. I hope your family is well and the crew is good. Also, not that it matters, but it was wild to see you using a clip titled Hasanabi from a Destiny community account in an unlisted link. He never responded to that. And instead, that was on October of last year. Think about all the things that he has said since then. It's fucking wild. No, not 2023, 2024. That is when he was already calling me a terrorist. At that point, he had already started calling me a fucking terrorist using unlisted clips off of YouTube from Sex Pestini's own fan accounts, unlisted clips titled Hasanabi. Those are the clips he was using on his fucking podcast to talk about his former podcast co-host, former friend. Because he had to prove something. He played Twitcher terrorist. After he went after the Arabs podcast for the Sabra Hummus shit alongside the ADL and successfully got a bunch of content creators banned for making a tier list, a joke tier list, where they stated that liking Sabra Hummus was the equivalent of being the least Arab coded. Okay? Like a bunch of black content creators making a tier list about who has, a joking tier list about who has the N-word pass, right? If they were to sit there on stage and then say, person who has the pass at the top of the tier list and person who puts raisin in their
potato salad in the bottom of that tier list. Okay? No, don't say it's fucking still weird. Shut the fuck up. That is a direct analog here. Yeah, if they did a who has an invite to the cookout. Okay, not the N-word pass, but like who has an invite to the cookout, if you want to fucking call it that. Over his extended crash out, he has unironically done shit that ended up hurting him in the long run too. Like they pushed actively to get a politics tag alongside Sex Pestany and that other fucking freak, his lieutenant commander, Dan Salty Man, working with literal congresspersons, trying to get me banned before the election with no real reason other than pure malicious intent. Like, these guys don't give a fuck about anti-Semitism. What are you kidding me? They fucking say anti-Semitic shit all the goddamn time. Yeah, Dan the Diddler. The fucking Diddler commander of the Diddler brigades. The DDG brigades. Whatever the fuck. They call themselves the Dezbollah. They call themselves the Taliban. Anyway. They got the politics tag slapped onto Twitch. Okay? They actively tried to get fucking all advertisers to pull out of Twitch. How fucking insane is that? You're hurting thousands of content creators at that point. And it's not like like this was also in broad daylight too, until a Bloomberg article written by a fantastic reporter basically revealed all of this targeted Gamergate style brigading, this relatively sophisticated brigading campaign. And then they had to delete all this shit. And there wasn't a moment where I was like, I'm being gang stalked. You know what I mean? I didn't fucking run around and lose my goddamn mind. I just kept my head down and just kept doing what I do. Which is ironic because that's what I wanted Ethan to do from the beginning. Just stick to the fucking goofs and gaffs, man. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself in this process. You're the shadow of what you once used to be. You know what I mean? You're killing your own audience in this process.
Tell you, this is like step one of having a leftist ideology, is recognizing our race, religion, nationality, all this shit, all shape our experiences.
Yeah, random streamers with their country tags got their ad revenue removed and banned creators for a month before an election, forcing them to lose tons of money too. Yeah.
As people.
That's the reason why it'd be better served to have this conversation not with myself, but with an anti-Zionist Jewish person.
Why does it matter if they're Jewish?
Because I'm not Jewish, and you've said in this conversation that, like, how can you tell me how to feel about the situation?
Yeah, but how is one person a representative of Jews at large? I'm just telling you how Jewish people around the world interpret that phrase.
So yes, Ethan, on occasion you might be suggested to talk to someone who has some crossover with you. It doesn't have to be your ethnicity. It could possibly be someone who shares progressive ideology with you. It could possibly be someone who is of your same gender. I think Ethan understands this concept very well. He listened to these women on his show when they told him that he shouldn't be calling women bitches.
This bitch is intolerable. You are such a nasty fucking bitch, Ken.
I don't know if you can call her a bitch, though.
She is a bitch. She's a fucking bitch. You're right. I call her a see you next Tuesday.
Listen, you have.
I'm curious, what do Lena and Sam think about it?
I wouldn't be okay with that.
Yeah.
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 I feel like that it's for the girlies, Ethan. But I
So
agree.
you guys all seem to be in consensus that it's in poor form. I think to respect the women here in the room, I'm going to have to pass on saying that.
Can he ever say a bitch towards a woman? 60% yes. Jesus Christ.
The infantilization of Ethan Klein is fucking nauseating. He's not a child. He is absolutely capable of looking into Hasan, learning about his politics, interviewing, doing loads of things to figure out where he stands.
He presents himself as someone like me, a left-leaning Democrat who supports basic things. And for the first time, I noticed an inordinate amount of radical, hardcore leftists. I mean, I thought we were social democrats, not whatever this was. This comment from Hasan really started to sound some alarms in my head. I was already getting uncomfortable with our partnership.
You know what's funny? Here's how I know. This is one thing that I realized, that this is where I realized he was being disingenuous. Because I was like, is he actually a baby? Like, does he have a baby brain? Does he have a child's brain? Where I was like, these are my politics. We had a fucking politics podcast for 2 goddamn years. So clearly you know what my politics are. But maybe he's just a baby brain person, right? Like, fine. Maybe he didn't understand what I was saying when I said it to him. But then I realized in one of the clips that I saw of the context puke, where he actually talks about the first time we ever interacted. Okay? The first time we ever interacted, it was his podcast where I walk him through the steps of my America Deserved 9/11 moment. Okay? And he was very understanding. But in that podcast, where I also talked about my politics of what I believe, like social democracy in the interim is good because it marginally improves the living standards of all American workers. It's a good thing, but that's a short term. Obviously, in the long term, I want this entire system to change, right? And that is you might disagree with that. You might say I'm a revisionist. You might say that's not going to happen. You might be a revolutionary Marxist-Leninist vanguardist, whatever. Fine, okay? That's not what this point is. The point is that I was having this conversation with him, describing to him the steps of democratic socialism, okay, and how you arrive at democratic socialism and what my worldview is. And there was a bunch of socialist ass shit behind me when we were having that conversation. In the context puke, Ethan clipped that to make an argument about how I was actually a liberal, left-leaning liberal. He clipped his own podcast interview with me where I had a bust of Vladimir Ilyich Lenin and a USSR Ushanka, like prominently featured behind me as we were having this fucking conversation. He cropped it because even he had the wherewithal, in my estimation, to recognize that if he were to show that, people would go, dude, you're having a conversation with a guy that you thought was a liberal and he has fucking Lenin behind him? That makes no sense. So either he did that deliberately in an effort to massage the truth a little bit, or he got it from someone else who had the wherewithal to do that and fucking duped Ethan.
I started to wonder if I had any idea who this guy actually is.
You made how many episodes with Hasan? Like, this guy made a fucking program with the biggest mega leftist on the platform. Now he's acting like he was tricked and he was incapable of figuring out what this guy's beliefs were. Bro, I didn't make the fucking leftist program. You did. You made fucking, 60 some odd episodes of this shit for hours talking to this guy? You didn't have a problem with any of it until, Ethan talks about being aware of Hasan's 9/11.
Yeah, it's so funny. He's like, oh, you groomed me as a 38-year-old adult. You groomed me into thinking that you were just a fucking liberal. No, the reason why he had this attitude is because he thought if he posts this as is, if he posts this fucking context puke as is, he can maybe convince other people, he can maybe dupe other people into thinking he's the victim here, okay? That he wasn't fully knowledgeable of my worldview, that I actively told him over the course of 60 plus fucking episodes on a podcast that ran for 2 goddamn years, a political podcast that ran for 2 fucking years, okay, to a 38-year-old man
Because he hopes that his audience will watch that and go, oh my God, he is the victim here. Oh my God, maybe I'm the victim. Maybe Hasan actually lied to me too. And then he fucking slapped on a compilation of me saying, I hate liberals. Okay? Ironically demonstrating why I hate liberals in the process. It's like, he hates you. You're a liberal. He hates you. You're a Democrat. He hates you. He hates you. He hates Democrats.
Comments and then sort of leaves it at that. Like it was just a joke. Actually, I think Ethan describes them as edgy moments or jokes.
You might remember him from such classics as
America deserved 9/11, dude. Fuck it. I'm saying it.
Now, to be
Yeah, you didn't know I was radical?
clear, I knew about all these edgy and controversial jokes at the time we made the show
edgy,
together.
controversial jokes.
Because who am I to judge?
No, Ethan, those aren't jokes, right? When someone makes a controversial statement like that, that's not them trying to be funny. I can understand why you would conflate the two. That is someone who is extremely frustrated and passionate about a particular topic. In this case, American imperialism and terrorism. You could have looked into that. You could have talked to Hasan a little bit more.
He did. He did. You know what's funny? Wait, hold on. Let me see if I can find the fucking first ever Ethan Klein, Asia Productions, Hasanabi. Let me see. There's so many fucking things that he's posted about me that it's going to be impossible to find the original video. I don't know if any chatters will see it. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Yeah, I can't find it. Maybe you guys will have it ready to go. Oh, here it is.
Unfortunately, or this notion that like we're all going to become millionaires.
By the way, fucking Lenin, Che Guevara, USSR Ushanka, right there, okay? Let's see. South Carolina, Bernie versus Trump, marginal differences in policy. By the way, this is where I literally talk about all of my worldview and whatnot. The slippery slope, racism, crime, poor people, social fabric, Muslims, white evangelicals, Turkey, America, Alex Jones. Is this where it is? The America Deserved 9/11, where I talked about like what it is? I must have hidden all of my thoughts. All of my thoughts were hidden to him. When he called, 4 years ago, when he called Hasan a liberal, Hasan's soul died. 4 years ago. Second spike from the right.
Worked openly with Nazis and white supremacists. And I mean like Nazis and white supremacists literally, like people who call themselves white supremacists or white nationalists, or have openly admitted that they believe that the white race is superior, like Stefan did in that famous video.
Oh, second one right here.
Started as like controversial or can be clipped out of context. I always say that. It's a meme in and of itself at this point. In order not to avoid terms of service.
America deserved 9/11 in a video.
My dad is lighting the kitchen on fire again, folks. Holy moly. Holy moly. Okay. I might have to deal with this real quick. Hold on.
Okay. This is so ridiculous. Does it work?
Well, I got banned, so I don't know.
No, I don't think.
Capabilities. So that's part of what we're doing. And the other part is just knowledge. We want to know.
Someone said, is that 54? Is this it?
This.
Yeah, cancel culture, by the way, exclusively a leftist idea, yet for some weird reason, Republicans love doing it and manufacturing outrage.
Yeah, there was
weird.
I don't know but Hasan basically was reacting to something, and he said jokingly that that America deserved. He said, "Fuck it, America deserved 9/11."
Yeah.
But then you went in to explain. By the way, did you?
We clarified it literally immediately after. I was like,
but
I'm saying controversial. Exactly what we did.
But did you know you were fucked though when you said that, because you said in a video game afterwards?
No, because everyone was like, "Why did you say that? You're gonna get banned." So I was like, "What do you mean?" If you watch the entire video, I go, fuck it, dude, I'm saying it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, how is anything I'm saying controversial? We literally armed the same groups and caused destabilization in the region. And then we're shocked when the very same people that we armed, gave weapons to, gave training to, turned around and hit us back. Like, how is that in any way remotely controversial?
Right. I think that's a conversation that takes place all the time. I think it's just the way you said it. People were like, "Oh, here we go. We got this young Turk," and then you're associated with the Young Turks, who, by the way, Alex Jones calls the Young Turds, which I think is hilarious.
Oh, I love Alex Jones. He apparently did a broadcast of that.
I've got the video. I was hoping to watch it with you.
Yeah, I'm so happy. Like, I was so happy. I love Alex Jones. I mean, it's very unfortunate that due to our completely destroyed public education system in this country, that like people take him seriously and then literally act on the psychotic things that he says, and that we can't all just appreciate him as like incredible content.
Oh my God,
incredible
so funny.
content.
Well, here, let me
like performance art.
And yeah,
wow, Ethan Klein, completely aware of how people can clip things out of context. Where was it? This isn't even what I'm looking for. I basically describe in great detail how ISIS formed, right? How ISIS formed, how it played how the material condition played a formative role in like radicalizing so many people into insane positions, like completely unjustifiable positions, while also describing the concept of blowback to Ethan. And he totally understood, or it wasn't even ISIS. I think I was talking about Al-Qaeda too. But no, I'm fairly certain I talked about ISIS as well. Okay. And it's just like, he got it then. And this is the first time we ever talked. So what happened?
Warren found out what his international politics opinions are, but you wouldn't even need to do that. You can look at it online. You're not a victim. You weren't tricked. You made 60 some odd episodes. If you didn't want to go down this route, you shouldn't have done it. But that was your fucking choice. You did it. You are an adult. When Ethan and Hila are watching Matt Lieb saying that one state doesn't represent all Jews, they cannot wrap their heads around the idea.
No single person represents all Jews.
I'm just telling you how Jewish people around the world interpret that phrase.
No single.
Isn't this also a Sam Cedar bit where they call Ben Shapiro the Pope of the Jews? That's Sam Cedar, right? For kind of this reason. That's why they always joke about Ben.
Person represents all Jews, as no single state represents all Jews.
This is another weird thing.
Oh my God.
Israel, this is a lie that I see Hasan and people pander. They say that Israel's going to war on behalf of Judaism. They have never, I don't believe that that's ever been stated. And I don't think Israel ever explains that it's like,
it's in the Constitution. What are you saying? How can someone so aggressively try to defend Israel and be so fucking oblivious, dude? That's crazy. There was a whole law change in Israel. There was a nation-state law that dictated that Israel was a nation for Jews, by Jews, and only for Jews. I'm paraphrasing. Every aspect of Zionism, from its inception, even though it was created by secular Jews, atheists that didn't give a fuck about Judaism at all, knowingly and willingly have entertained the notion that Israel is for the Jews, by the Jews, and it is for Judaism. It is in everything that Israel does. It is a false conflation. Why would you, on the one hand, adopt that framing? Yes, the law that I'm talking about is the basic law. Israel is a nation state of the Jewish people. This was quite controversial at the time. They were like, what? This is weird. But why why would you say this while also simultaneously claiming, well, all Jews are Zionists? So when you say Zionist, you mean Jew.
I think Israel says it's a place where Jews can go.
Israel's just a place Jews can go? With that slogan, we might actually have peace. You know, if that's all you're defining Israel as, is a place Jews can go. Like, sure, it sounds like America to me. Like, all right.
I don't think that Israel said they represent.
Yeah, I ironically covered this all the way back in 2018 with Noah Colwin. Especially because none of my thoughts on Israel were ever hidden. Ethan knew my thoughts on Israel. I suspect he must have.
Present all Jews. I don't think that's a stance. We're like, hey, displacing Palestinians is all Jewish people.
Ethan is being so disingenuous here to suggest that he doesn't understand what Matt Lieb is saying. Like, he's making a semantic argument. Like, I don't think Israel has said that it represents every last Jew on the planet. I don't think Israel has claimed that. They're not going to say that their most genocidal behavior represents anything to do with them, okay? But what they are going to do is they're going to inexplicably link Israel and Jewishness together. So when they're being criticized, all of the...
Also, they do that. They literally do that. That false conflation is actively egged on by the Israeli state. Not only is the Star of David in the flag in and of itself, but besides that, there is no reason to fucking put Star of Davids on the fucking heads of Palestinian prisoners that they kidnapped. There's no reason to get tanks to draw Stars of David in the Gaza Strip. There's no reason to prop up a fucking menorah in the middle of the Gaza Strip as a symbol of conquest. Israel actively does present itself as the Jewish nation, of course, but while also simultaneously engaging in defense of Israel as a way, like it plays two different roles. Look at this. What do you think this is? Why are they doing this? You can get mad about it. You can be like, oh, how dare you? This is anti-Semitic, which is ironically, at the root cause of the IHRA debate. That's why Ethan himself has, at moments, and I've heard him say this, talk about how, oh, people just substitute the word Zionism for Jew because all Jews are Zionists. He says this himself. So he's making that conflation himself.
All of a sudden, they have the perfect defense. Oh, another thing I need to mention. There was a tier list. It was called the Who Can Say Habibi tier list. It was presented at TwitchCon as like a panel that was just meant to be lighthearted and fun. And Ethan Klein saw that, and he decided that it was anti-Semitic.
Tier list them, and we're going to need your help to discuss and figure out who can say Habibi and who can't.
And also, we have tiers. We have Arab coded. They ask permission to say Habibi. Like you got like a white guy's like, can I say it? Is it a slur? And then Love Sabra, which is they're not Arab coded at all.
Now, when I first saw this tier list, I immediately knew what it was doing. I was like, oh, it's a play on the who has the N-word pass and who doesn't tier list. Granted, Habibi is very different than the N-word, but it is a cultural word amongst Arabic-speaking people and Muslim people. Like that is a word that's used. Habibi, it means my love. Oh no, don't do that, Habibi. Oh yes, Habibi. You're my Habibi, I'm your Habibi. So yes, it's meant to be a fun way that these Arab content creators can express their Arab culture and be proud of it and happy about it. Because it's not like they have massive representation on the platform.
Making a tier list based on race. And nobody has a fucking problem with that. Okay, you have a tier list based on race. Where's the Jewish panel? Where's the Jewish panel? Where at the top it says Jewish. It's a tier list based on Arab to Jew. He's Arab, which is good. That's the best thing you can be on this. That's the best. This is racist.
I will say that conveying information through a tier list is not the most effective thing, but Ethan should understand this principle. He did a white slurs tier list with Hasan.
Cracker.
I mean, you know what my take is.
We can't put this as an F. Cracker. I mean, that's got to be at least a D, right?
Pale face motherfucker.
Pale face. I mean, again, I think that's an F. Hog.
So hog is my favorite. I use it all the time.
Him and Hasan feel as though they are white guys, so they felt very comfortable talking about white slurs on their tier list.
I think I'm more white than you. What do you think?
I think I'm white. Like, I'm super white.
Can you understand why Arabs might feel comfortable talking about Arab shit on their tier list, Ethan? You're the white guy. You think you're more white than Hasan.
I think I'm more white than you.
So yeah, the white guy can say all the things that he wants, like cracker, but the Arabs can't have their tier list.
I would put him also in Arab. I know Turkish people are different.
Notice how they dropped the premise almost immediately that it's about who can say Habibi. And then it's like, Hasan, okay, actually, he's Arab. We fucking love him. He's dope. He's Arab.
Habibi is an Arabic word. That is an Arabic word, Ethan.
Funny about this whole thing is that they say Habibi in Israel. Again, people underestimate just how like mixed Israeli culture is. Like,
we say Habibi in Israel. Yes, Ethan. Another piece of evidence as to why it isn't anti-Semitic.
This is racist.
If you're not Arab or understand Arab culture at all, which is a lot of Americans, and Ethan Klein presents you this tier list and calls it anti-Semitic, you're just gonna eat it up. It's not. Ethan is just proving his location on this tier list under Love Sabra because he doesn't understand Arab culture. There's a lot of Arabs who eat Sabra. There's a lot of people like me who eat Sabra. A lot of the times it's all that's in the store, and I'm—
Boo. Sabra hummus is dog shit. And BDS, but also mostly just dog shit. Yeah, Ethan tried to say that Love Sabra was actually loves Jews. And I didn't even know this as the fucking expert of anti-Semitic dog whistles. Even I didn't fucking know that Sabra also meant cactus or Jew born in Israel. That's what it was. I don't think a single person knew that when they said love Sabra. They were talking about Sabra hummus, which is dog shit. You know? That's it. But Ethan did that classic thing that everybody loves doing, where you just think that no one is capable of making jokes. And perhaps for Ethan, it's hard to discern when someone is making a joke because they didn't falsely smear someone as a fucking pedophile. You know, that's the only type of quote unquote jokes that Ethan makes. So it's confusing to him. He's like, is this actually a joke? I don't understand. Why is nobody fucking defaming another person randomly for a minor disagreement?
I'm gonna buy it and I'm gonna eat it, but it is not the good shit. Like the average Arab American, they're gonna go in the store and the only option they have is fucking Sabra. And that sucks that that's the only option, right? Arab communities and distribution facilities are not widespread across the US. So what are they left with? They're left with a common, relatable, shitty hummus, which is Sabra. And what's so fucking pathetic about this whole thing is after he was able to get these Arab creators banned off of Twitch for 30 days, he goes on to talk about how bad Sabra hummus is on his show.
I don't think anybody wants to prefer Sabra over homemade like restaurant quality hummus. You know, it's what's there.
Like weirdly fluffy.
It is
Sabra.
fluffy.
Weird.
Yeah.
I would buy it sometimes and eat it. It's not the best.
The problem is with Sabra, in my opinion, it's only good for the first 2 daes.
For some reason, like when you eat this Sabra shit, it just feels so much heavier. And imagine eating a whole fucking vat of Sabra. That's crazy.
Yeah. I've never liked hummus.
Oh, okay.
Well, you hate Jews then.
I don't.
And Arabs.
Yeah.
This is racist.
Yeah.
It's crazy that after he collected those scalps, and in the process, yelled at an Arab Jew that was also on that panel and got him banned too, and then subsequently called him a token, which is anti-Semitic. Okay. How dare you not unconditionally support the apartheid ethno-state? You must be anti-Semitic. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Then he does this fucking victory lap where he's basically like, yeah, I hate Sabra too, actually. You are not allowed to hate Sabra. He made a fucking video about it where he was like, Sabra is in the fridge of every Israeli Jew. What the fuck? It's our national pride or some shit.
Yeah, it's almost like you can have a discussion about Sabra hummus being a bad hummus without it being at all related to a Jewish thing or an Israeli thing. He can have that discussion as much as he wants on his podcast because we all know his intentions aren't anti-Semitic.
This is what he did. He hit his heart hard.
The Zionism is leading to not accepting other cultures, embracing their own culture, and instead thinking that that is an attack on you. There's this incident on the podcast where they were reacting to Cutie Cinderella, and Ethan was laughing during it. So that ended up being a pretty important wake-up call for Ethan. He made an apology video directed at Cutie Cinderella, and it was graded by a professional psychologist, Dr. Kirk Honda of Psychology in Seattle, and Ethan got an A+ rating.
In terms of a public apology, this is A+.
Ethan won't stop talking about his A+ rating.
You know he rated my apology to Cutie Cinderella a perfect score? A perfect 10.
A perfect 10 out of 10?
Literally 10 out of 10. Go back. I can teach you how to make a
Right.
good apology. I'm the
Right,
best at
10
it.
out of 10.
I know what a perfect apology is, lady. You fucking don't. Is my perfect apology in this PowerPoint? Dude, I got a perfect 10 out of 10. This one is actually best apology, so. Ethan Klein, you guys, oh my God.
I was trying really hard to think about an impactful moment during this video. Like, could I do something that would really wake Ethan up? And
should have reviewed his N-word apology. Does he have an N-word apology? I genuinely don't know. I actually don't know. Wait, are you guys setting that up to be like, nope, that's the joke? Oh. Okay, well. My mistake. My mistake.
I don't know if this came from a good place or not, but I came up with the idea of getting Ethan's grade changed from an A to a B at least. So I went to visit Psychology in Seattle. I'm not confident that Kirk will change his grade, but it's worth trying. And, you know, we might learn a thing or two.
Xander! Probably get pretty low marks. Unlike me, perfect score, 10. I said, hey, Lud, no wig drama. Why are you such a spineless coward of a person now that you've inserted yourself and your girlfriend into this conversation?
Okay, iDubbbz, I hear you. You're in the room with me right now. I hear you. I hear your request. I understand it. I can understand where it's coming from. And I guess have a policy that when there is a grade for an apology, I am just grading that discrete apology as I see it without taking any consideration of prior or future behavior. If you're wanting me to comment on the overall behavior or the recent behavior from the clips that you have shown me, I believe that Ethan is a good person and that eventually he will feel sorrow and will feel sorry and will apologize, and I will be there to evaluate that apology when it happens, which I know it will.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Unfortunately, Kirk did not change his grade, but that's okay because this is the internet. Anyone can have their own official apology rating system. So I'm going to rate Ethan's apology a B-. That's just based on my own feelings and my own rubric. When Psychology in Seattle was watching these video clips of Ethan, he said that it looks like Ethan could just use a hug. Now, of course, it kind of pisses me off to hear that shit because I'm like, What are we doing? What are we saying? He needs a hug? No, he doesn't need a hug. He needs a good fucking ass whooping is what he needs. I think something that's very important to me in bringing back Content Cop is to be fair. I think that was something that was not illustrated in previous Content Cops that I think should have been and probably wouldn't have left me with so much regret. Ethan deserves all of the criticism that he's getting. I think it's very valid. But I also think at the end of the day, we should acknowledge that he's human because he is human. And he is in a situation that's making him extremely scared, paranoid, defensive, sensitive, and I'm sure other features and feelings. In the spirit of Kirk saying that it looks like Ethan could just use a hug, I have challenged some of his most powerful haters to put down the haterade and just say something nice and charitable about him because I think he deserves it.
I just wanted to say that I respect that you are genuinely yourself on the internet. I think a lot of other people respect you for it as well. I think that's a big reason why people were drawn to your content in the first place. I think that's a lot of the reason why your employees chose to work with you over anyone else.
Ethan, I think it's respectable that you even began this journey to leave behind the anti-SJW crowd and step into a more empathetic worldview. I know it's not easy.
Ethan Klein, I think that when you are being goofy, when you're being silly, when you are being lighthearted, and just having fun with your friends, I think that is when you're at your best. So I'd love to see more of that. That'd be sick.
I will be reading my letter off because I don't want to sound robotic. H3 used to be the sports for good that I used to watch. I hope that one day gets back to what I remember. You were one of the inspirations for me to start creating content, so all this has stung. I hope you really hear this, and I wish you the best.
I think Ethan Klein rocks a buzz cut pretty good, and I think he's got a good choice of facial hair. I think it's really cool what he did 8 years ago, fighting that frivolous lawsuit. That was pretty fucked up, and fighting it, you know, he changed YouTube for the better. And I thought that was cool because I thought it was like he was fighting for free speech.
You know, I also see the dynamic of Ethan and Neil. I'm like, fuck, like, it's really hard to be a couple online and see people attacking your partner, and it's like, okay, like, if you come to their defense, if that doesn't always help them, right? Sometimes that makes it worse for them.
And I have been kind of slipping into a very unhealthy place where it's gotten worse and worse, and I get criticized more and more, and I get more defensive and more hold up, a feeling of almost infallibility that I could take anything on. It led me to make a lot of mistakes, and then when I was criticized for those mistakes, then I would act extremely defensive and nasty and not really processing them in a healthy way.
Goddamn. Cinema. Where's yours? I didn't do one. I'm glad that other people did. Frogan did, but you didn't? Yeah, I didn't. Partially because I don't think it would have been helpful. The reason why I don't think it would be helpful is because, and this is what I told iDubbbz at the time, I was like, listen, I've made my position known in terms of wanting Ethan to get better, and I've said it so many times that at this point, it literally is just repeating the same thing that I've said over and over again. And that I don't think he will ever view it charitably. Like, I just don't think that he will look at that and see it as productive. Because in spite of all the things that Ethan has done, in spite of everything that he's done, I still want him to get better. I still want him to, you know, take some time off, really reconsider what he's done this entire time, and get better. And someone might look at that and go, I mean, yeah, he made a 3-hour doc about you specifically, so yeah, you'll always be a villain to him. I know. That's what I mean. It's just like I have maintained that level of charity to this day. And that hasn't changed. And some people even fucking say oh, you just want him to get better because you want him to stop talking about you. And it's like, yeah, there's a level of self-interest there for sure. It doesn't really matter. Like, Ethan trying to tarnish my name, Ethan trying to come after me has demonstrably not worked. He's not the first person that has decided I have a political disagreement with this person and I'm going to do everything in my fucking power to constantly call this guy a piece of shit and make my audience hate him. This is my entire career. I'm a fucking leftist online, dude. What are you talking about? I'm live 8 to 10 hours every day. Of course, I open myself up to attacks just on that alone in perpetuity. It's not new. Ethan will not be the last person that comes after me and kind of loses their mind in the process. So, yes. And Steiny asked me this question as well, ironically enough, on the podcast that we did. And I said the same thing there. I wish him well. I don't think that all of this stuff that he's engaged in is good for his mental health. And it feels like it's so bad for his own personal mental health that, like, it unironically is visible. Is visibly deteriorating him. So that's the reason why I didn't repeat exactly what I've said a million times over. Because I don't think that he would look at that and reflect on it. I think it would have an unproductive effect because he considers me to be, and judging by what he has said, and that's just scratching the surface. Like, iDubbbz did not tackle most of it. Ethan buttoned AB. Ethan announced he's spending his summer break to do a part 2 of Context Nuke. I think eventually this is going to turn into him just rehashing it over and over again, and finding new things to yell about until it's just like an audience of 10 people. It's not healthy. It's not going to change the truth, and it's certainly not going to change people's perceptions of you. So in this process, all you do is basically hurt yourself for seemingly no reason other than hoping that one day magically people will actually recognize where you're coming from, change their entire worldview, and decide, no, you were right all along, actually, Ethan. We were wrong. Like, all Jews are Zionists, actually. And therefore, criticizing Zionism is criticizing Judaism. Like, you're correct. Like, that's not going to happen, especially not when Israel has refused to stop. You know?